right, on today's episode of Bible Blueprint of the Old Testament, we are looking at First Kings. Now, First Kings is 11th in order in the Old Testament. There are 22 chapters in the book, and the type of book it is history. An overview of First Kings. This book records King David's death and King Solomon's ascent to the throne, followed by the division of the kingdom of his first 100 years. The book relates the prophet Elijah's battle with King Ahab and his wife Jezebel. Now, this book was written around 550 BC. The time periods covered are 975 to 850 BC. The authors unknown. Stories appear to be written during the Great Exile to Babylon. Now, there are 5 sections in the book of First Kings. Number 1, Solomon ascends and builds the temple. We see this in chapters 1 through 10. King David dies, chooses Solomon to reign. Solomon prays for wisdom and is blessed by the Lord. Solomon builds the temple and a palace. God speaks to Solomon, promising him great blessings if he is obedient and curses if he forsakes the Lord. The Queen of Sheba visits. Solomon's wealth and wisdom are greater than any other kingdom. Number 2, the Great Divide. Solomon dies. We see this in chapters 11 through 12. Solomon dies and his son Rehoboam reigns in his stead. Rehoboam decides to increase taxes and the Israelites revolt, dividing themselves into the northern and southern kingdoms. Jeroboam becomes the king of the 10 tribes of Israel in the north. Rehoboam reigns over Judah in the south, the leader of the other 2 tribes. Part 3. The divided kingdom suffers its first kings. We see this in chapters 12 through 17. Subsequent kings of Judah and Israel are named as the people drift further into wickedness, worshiping Baal and other false gods. The only righteous king is Asa, king of Judah. Jeroboam and his house are destroyed and his name becomes a biblical curse. In section 4, the deeds of Elijah the prophet. We see this in chapters 17 through 22. King Ahab and his wife Jezebel established worship of Baal throughout the land. The prophet Elijah announces a drought because of these pagan practices. The Lord preserves Elijah, who raises a widow's son from the dead. Elijah also challenges the priests of Baal to a contest and shows that God's power is supreme. He hears God proclaim that there are 7,000 Israelites who are faithful to the Lord. Jezebel and Ahab die, and Ahaziah reigns in wickedness. All right, that brings us to the end of our overview of the book of First Kings. That's all for now. God bless.